All right, guys, welcome back. Discount property investors. Today, I'm joined with a friend, Burton from Propstream. I'm even wearing my Propstream shirt today, Burton. Man.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. I've done these in the past with my buddy Paul, but today I get the honor of working with Burton. But that's good because we're going to be able to see some different perspectives here, guys. But today, all things Propstream. And Burton's going to actually do, he's been gracious enough to do a demo for us and show us, you know, how cool the mobile app is. Propstream in general is just amazing. I use it for all my comps. I use it to help determine what my offers are going to be. And of course, the motivated seller list. So we also are going to be breaking down the filters area of the motivated seller list, guys, and how valuable it is, right? So Burton, again, thanks for coming, man. I'm happy you're here. Grateful for your time. And let's learn about Propstream, man. This is going to be great.
I'm excited, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you giving me this platform to share our new mobile app that came out summer this year. So, I mean, instead of just talking about it, let's just show them exactly what it can do. So let me know if you can see my screen right now.
Man, this is perfect. I'm seeing it looking perfect. I like it.
Okay, awesome. So guys, the first thing to note, this is not an add-on. So this is actually just part of your subscription. So if you've been a Propstream user or you just signed up, go to the App Store and get the mobile app. You won't regret it, okay? So
I was using this today to comp a property, actually. I looked at 2 properties this morning and I was using it in the field, showing the seller the comps. It was cool. But yeah, let's do
That's amazing. Well, let's break it down because I hope to show you something that you probably may not even realize was there. So just to kind of break down the mobile app, 5 simple icons. They're located at the bottom. Search, this is where you search up a property. Favorites, think of that as your My Properties, but on your mobile app. So anytime you're saving a property on this device here, it's going to get stored here. Drive, this is our revolutionary Driving for Dollars feature, and I'll show you guys why it's revolutionary in a few moments. History, this just shows you any property that you've ever clicked on, whether you've saved it in your favorites or not, just in case you change your mind, right? You might have clicked on a property, didn't save it, but then tomorrow or later on in the day, you just decide, you know what, I want to go look at that property again.
Oh, I like the history, man. I didn't even know that was there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's cool.
And then you have your more, this is your account profile. What's really important here is that we have help videos for you. And then we have the mobile activity drive log. That's dead center at the top. That right there is going to store any recorded drive that you do with Propstream. So let's talk about searching. So the concept with the mobile app is we know that you're going to be on the go, right? We know an appointment. We know you're going to visit the homeowner. Guess what? You might need to bring your laptop and ask for Wi-Fi access, because if not, well, then you need your printout. And if you forget your printout, you're now you're SOL pretty much, right? Not anymore. Your mobile app allows you to search for a particular property by address, an APN, which is the accessory's parcel number. This is like looking for a VIN number on a vehicle. So you have to have the county and the exact APN number of that property. And then my personal favorite is Geo Locate. Exactly where you're at on the map. You can zoom in, zoom out, head north, head south, west, east. The concept with Geo Locate is to look for a parcel near you, tap on it, and then we're going to show you a brief description of that property. And then you can tap on that blue details button to get to the details of that property, right?
I like
so
that.
Again, 3 ways to look up a property: address, APN, and Geo Locate. Now with Geo Locate, I call it the tabletop conversation search, because let's say David and I are at a coffee shop. David's like, hey, Burton, I just flipped a property in Vegas. I can use the magnifying glass on the far right side to search Las Vegas. And now I can zoom in into the Vegas market and zoom in on a property and tap on a. So this is not just for what's in your area. This could be searching for parcels in a different state, like your mom's house or that summer home, or maybe you're talking to a homeowner and they tell you about their second property. You can type in their address or use Geo Locate for that. We also have the ability to go from map to satellite, and then that arrow button at the very bottom resets back to your original location. So
nice.
That's how to search a property.
That's a great feature. I didn't even know that was on there too, man. I always just went to the address thing.
Right. And the cool thing about this too is you can search an address in there. And what it does is when you search an address, it just zooms in onto like it puts that address dead center, but it doesn't search it. It
Right.
just hovers in that area. That way you can look at the neighboring parcels if you want. And all that. So the address search takes you straight to the details. The Geo Locate just hovers in that area.
Okay, I like it. That's really cool.
Property or the nearby neighbors. So when it comes to what separates our mobile app from most real estate mobile apps, it's this right here. We know you're either using our app because you're out there talking to a homeowner, right? You finally went to their property, or you're driving for dollars and you just tap on a parcel and now you have the details in front of you. What separates us is what we're seeing right here from top to bottom. At the very top, the black bar is going to show you the address, the APN, estimated value. The blue bar below it is going to show you the characteristics. And then right below that, we're going to show you photos of the property if there are any photos of the property. See, this address I just recently searched in Miami happens to be on the market. So when I tap on the photo, I get to see all the MLS photos associated with that property. Now, if the property is not on market, I mean, we don't get that at all. But what's important again is the details that you've known to grow and love on Propstream are now here. Below the photos, I have several icons beginning with details that shows you what's unfolding on the property, right? Whether it's going through a pre-foreclosure, a bankruptcy, a lien, or just the property details alone. And feel free to tap on each one and it alters the information down below. So you can even purchase the pre-foreclosure document on the go if you'd like, right?
Wow, look at that. That's sweet.
This and what separates the other Driving for Dollars app is that we're giving you the details on the go. You can now see why they want to sell the property. And when you're talking to the homeowner, you're talking with confidence, right? And again, this builds your credibility because they're going to be like, where are you getting all that information from? And when you show them this phone and they realize, man, you have this nice looking app on this mobile device of yours, you're definitely different from every other investor that's probably called them or visited them. That's the concept. Now, sometimes you might be so good at what you're doing that they're going to ask for a price. Usually this is where a lot of investors say, you know what, out of respect, I'll have to get back to you. Well, you can now run comps right on the spot. So with our comps, you have three options: comps, which are properties that sold within the last year; neighbors, in case you're in a cul-de-sac or gated community; or cash buyers. Maybe you're just curious to see what buyers are locking up properties for.
Oh, wow. Just by clicking the three buttons in the middle right there. Now look at that. Yes, that's awesome.
Right there. The best practice to get an ARV is usually running comps. And here, just like our desktop, you can use public records, which are records recorded at the county. Be careful.
Oh yeah, and the MLS are both. I like that.
Absolutely. And most importantly, to the right of both, we have the filtering icon. So you can filter date range, you can filter property characteristics, certain status of MLS. Most importantly, sell situation. When you're using public records, I usually encourage everyone to use finance records. Don't use cash transactions or foreclosure transactions, because that's going to drag your ARV down. So use finance. Those are properties that have been financed by a bank. Once you hit apply, your results will apply. The last thing you can do is look at your results at the very bottom. It's like a spreadsheet, so you can kind of go left and right. You can tap on the properties and go into the details and see the comp, right? So you can use this to show the homeowner why you're offering the certain price that you want.
Yeah, I love that feature. That's really cool. Use that a lot.
Nothing like that. Exactly, David. You nailed it right on the point. But that's what really separates us from everybody else, is the ability to run comps right on the spot. The other most important part is the opportunity. This is what people forget or don't talk about when driving for dollars, is that you've seen an abandoned property. It's probably been abandoned for many, many years. But does it have the right criteria for you to even market to it? And this is what, to me, is the most important part, is to be able to see the equity, the mortgage, and if there's any other liens that you need to worry about. So what separates us again is to see the motivation, to get an ARV on the spot, to see if it's even worth your while or not as you're driving by the property. And then that dictates whether you should spend your money on skip tracing the property right then and there.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that you could do it from the app right there. That's cool.
Yeah, or send a postcard. We have several postcards. You can even like take a picture of the property, like 12 and 13 are my favorite. You can take a picture of the property, slap it on that Polaroid template right there and send it out.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Documents if you want to buy it, get directions, and then you can share the property to like a team member or an external contact. And at the very top right, you have the heart button, which lets you favorite the property and send it to your desktop. And you can even tag that property, which is just to the left of the heart. What tagging does is it allows you to leave notes on the property which ties into the mobile app, and I'll show you guys that in a few moments. But that's really what separates us from the others. It's just the aggressive data that we have on our desktop is now on the go, but we couldn't end it there. We had to give you more than that. So the center icon is our drive feature. There's two ways to use our drive feature. The first one is the traditional method, and that's just the just drive button at the bottom. What this does is it records what you're doing. This is the freestyling, right? What we're known to do. Just go out there, find distressed properties, go down neighborhoods you're not familiar with. As you're doing that, you'll notice the very blue bar at the very bottom is monitoring your duration, your distance, and how many stops you're making. But the concept is to go to a market, tap on a parcel, and then you can hit the hard button. Essentially find those distressed properties, save it, and then at the very bottom, you can hit end, which we will ask you if you'd like to save that drive and record it.
Oh yeah, look at that. You can label it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you save and record it, it will get stored in your mobile activity drive log, where we show you all previous drives that you've done in the past.
Oh, look at that.
Those green properties are the houses that you've added over time.
Look at that. That's great.
That's the concept there. Again, the idea is that you don't have to visit the same property more than once. And pardon me, I'm lagging just a little bit here. Looks like my kids' virtual learning is starting to kick in. Right
Oh, you're all good.
Let me kill this really quick, because I think it dragged down a little bit. So
no worries. So the
last part,
it tracks all the drives in there then.
That's correct. Yeah, it's going to track the drive, and then the last thing it's going to do, and again, the concept of tracking the drive is so that you don't have to repeat the same drive over and over. But here's what really separated. This is what actually turned the whole driving for dollars thing on its head. This next thing has just revolutionized the whole industry. So the Just Drive is doing.
So there's no extra cost for the driving features.
No. This is all part of your.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to check.
So
I was some
no
charge extra for like the route tracking, or so I was just
no. This is all just part of your subscription. But the set filters in Drive. Okay, so Just Drive, again, when you're driving for dollars, you're looking for physically distressed properties. Best example I can give you is if you had 10 properties on a block and numbers 1 and number 10, they burned down, guess which two properties you're driving for dollars for, numbers 1 and 10, because everything in between looks perfect. Set filters in Drive lets you look for the ones that are perfect on the outside, not so perfect on the inside. So
yeah, that's the best part. Yep.
This piggybacks off our system. This allows you to build your own motivated sellers list. And so instead of looking for just distressed properties, you can do what I'm doing here. Look for liens within a 1 mile radius, and Propstream is going to show you these results within your market. Now, the reason why this is so revolutionary is because of the results that you're going to be able to see on the map here. See, so these are properties that have a lien. They amazing on the outside. Like I can click on number 33 right here, and it looks amazing on the outside. But the reason this populated is because I asked for a lien, and this property is sitting on a $2,300 lien, right? So the concept with the set filters in Drive is that instead of just looking for distressed properties, I'm looking for properties, in this case, within a 1 mile radius that have a lien on them. They can look perfect on the outside, but now I can go knock on a door for a different purpose. That purpose is because you have a lien, or there are so many different filters here. It could be an auction, a foreclosure. It could be someone with 2 mortgages, someone with an HOA, and they live in a different.
So in theory, you don't even have to drive those per se.
No, you're absolutely right.
You could just mark those particular properties, but if you are wanting to drive them, you could. And if you find one that, is, essentially it's, maybe ugly on the inside because of this data, and it's also ugly on the outside, hey, even better. Probably more reason for that seller to be motivated. That's what we're looking for. At the end of the day, any list we get doesn't guarantee a motivated seller. It's just, what can we find out there that would presumably have, that person would presumably have a high level of motivation, or a higher level than the next guy. So I love it, Burton. You nailed it, man.
This is it. So mobile app, again, guys, got to go get it if you're in the trial, or if you've signed up already, because it's free. It comes with your subscription. So that's our mobile app. Let me go ahead and now jump over to the desktop. where we can show you our new filter options.
Thank you for sharing the screen and driving, man. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's the least I can do. I love sharing this information. So now let's talk about the new filters that we just added recently. They're found obviously in our filter under our quick list choices. These new filters are senior owners. So we collect all sorts of data, tax records, mortgage information, years of ownership. If you put those three sources together in a certain fashion, you're going to be able to identify a senior owner, right? I can't really give you the secrets, but I mean, let's be obvious, right? There's a certain mortgage that senior owners use. All right, there's a certain tax exemption that applies to a senior owner. And obviously a person that owns a property for several years would be considered a senior owner. So again, that's how we're coming up with this list. I think this list is amazing is because the concept here is that if there's no plan B, right? They don't have kids, they don't have a retirement plan, you might be the plan B. And so definitely look out for this list here. Vacant land, this is a new list. The challenge that we were having is when we searched a market like Vegas, for example, counties sometimes don't have up-to-date records. And so what happened is in the past, when an investor would search Vegas and go into property characteristics, they would search for classifications vacant land, but then they would come across these results here. Something that was flagged as vacant land, but now a bedroom, 3-bathroom property on it because it was just recently developed, right? So for real estate investors or land developers, they were kind of fed up with it. We had to go in there with a fine-tuned comb and really kind of clear this information out. So with vacant land, what that does is it goes through all of the data and it makes sure that there's no property classifications, like there's no bedrooms and bathrooms or none of that stuff. So
I like that
these
feature.
are
Look at that.
your actual vacant land. So when you click on them, you're seeing truly vacant land, right? And then you can see ownership information and all that good stuff there. So that's a kind of to help things out kind of go. And again, the issue wasn't with us, it was just these counties. They don't really have up-to-date information. Again, sometimes the counties don't update it until that house actually sells, right? And then they can update their information. So while it's on market, it's still going to be flagged as a vacant land, even though it's no longer that. Tired landlords. This is a simple filter. What this really is just non-owner occupied properties with 15 years of ownership. Now, the reason why we created this filter for everyone was because we had users that were fairly new. They didn't understand that term, right? So we just decided to kind of give them that benchmark, non-owner occupied, 15 years minimum, right? Now, if you want more, you can always go to ownership info and add some years of ownership, like 16 years of ownership, right? Anything above 15. If you try to go under, it won't apply because of our logic that we already have. So be careful with that. The last one is zombie properties. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is zombie properties?
Oh yeah, I am. What the heck is zombie property, Burton?
This is something that's been around for decades in the industry. It's just been kind of like a term used for some savvy investors. But what it really is pre-foreclosures that are vacant. They're not delivering or they're not answering their mail. Two sources coming together. The reason why we're calling them zombie properties is because, hey, look, when you're an investor, you know the options when someone's in a pre-foreclosure. These homeowners do not. Sometimes these homeowners get that notice of default and they think that's it, right? They think, oh, I have a property, and they go and live with their relative or move out of state or sometimes even out of country, right? They don't know that they still have 6 months or so to work. In this case,
they're like, this is it. This is okay.
And so what we decided to do is instead of having you go through 1,200 pre-foreclosures and look for the ones that are also vacant, well, here are the 70 for you. Now, if you guys want to learn more about that,
that's awesome.
To propstream.com/news. And this talks about the zombie properties a little bit more. But what's also cool about this is we have dynamic graphs for you. So things like, where are all the vacant properties? Because we collect nationwide data and we're showing you that we have 1.6 million vacant records. The estimated asset value is about $300 billion. And you can essentially click on which market has the most vacant properties. So if you're a virtual wholesaler, if you want to just see, hey, does my market have a lot of vacant properties? You can click on it and see which counties have those vacant properties.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's awesome.
have them for the shadow inventory, which is REO, bank-owned properties, foreclosures, and as well as the zombie pre-foreclosures. You can see which markets have the most zombie pre-foreclosures and so forth. So propstream.com/news just kind of enlightens you guys about that. And then finally, just a little sprinkles on top within the filters. One of the new ones, ownership info, numbers of properties owned. This is huge. So we are so aggressive with this data. This is what we've figured out, that a person like David can buy multiple properties, but typically they'll send their tax bill to one address, right? So if we take that tax address and kind of reverse skip trace it, we can find all the things that are being bought and purchased under that tax address. And so this one is huge because now we can do things like, hey, you know, I'm looking for a motivated senior owner, but maybe one that has 5 to 10 properties, because not only do I just want one property, I'm going to see if they're going to want to liquidate their entire portfolio as well. And so
I love that one.
When you
That's my favorite one so far, Burton. Look at that.
Link properties. So this person here, George and Darcy, they own 8 properties. See, you can see they're George's trust. George has linked properties associated. So the idea is, if George is a motivated seller, hey, George, let's take care of this property. By the way, George, do you have any other properties that you might be interested in? Or he might just tell us, hey, you know what, Burton, I have 7 other properties that you probably can help me out with because you did such a great job with this one.
Wow, I like that a lot.
Don't just use that for motivation and take one lead and turn it into others. Use it for finding aggressive cash buyers as well, right? There's a thing about people saying, hey, look, I need a cash buyer. Great. But there's a difference between looking for a cash buyer who owns, let's say, 2 properties or fewer, right? Because maybe they just started buying properties. They don't probably have enough to buy the contract you have right now. So instead of looking for buyers that bought, you know, 1 or 2 properties,
you put the minimum at like 10.
Buyers that have maybe 15 properties under their belt.
There you go. Same thing. Yep.
And so now we can see the actual aggressive buyers and see, oh, holy crap. We can see their
that guy's got a lot.
Equity, all the properties this guy is buying, but now we know who the owners are, right? So
look at that.
Use this filter not just for motivation, but for also finding great aggressive cash buyers and so forth. So that's a new filter that we've added. We also went into property characteristics and gave you the ability to look for stories and the homeowners association. And then finally, in the ownership info, I forgot about that one, the tax exemption. So again, you can look for something that has a senior citizen tax exemption. This isn't available in all markets, but we're starting to grow this data a little bit more, so feel free to go after that. Now, the last thing I'm going to leave you guys off with is I have this philosophy. Working with investors nationwide, lenders, realtors, brokers, I mean, you name it. Everybody has always asked me, Burton, what are the best leads that you guys have that everybody's pulling? And that's a tricky question because it really depends on what strategies you know. Like, I'll give you an example.
And it depends on how good you are at closing these people too.
Exactly, man.
You're just gonna send a bunch of mail and not pick up your phone, guys. You're not getting any leads, right?
You're not getting anything at all.
Yeah. So
at the end of the day, I think what we ended up forgetting is that we're not looking for a list, right? Again, that's what the traditional method was, because before technology, you had to go get a list, right? You had to go to county and get their pre-foreclosure list or their lien list to even generate a lead, right? Well, I think what happened is when technology came and gave that to you, we just kind of got lost and we got into this tunnel vision where we go into a market and we start with a list and then we just go and refine it. But here's my philosophy. A lead is not a list. A lead is a problem. Right? And just to prove my point, look, I can do things like if you're looking for vacant properties, I'll look for an occupied property, right? If you're looking for pre-foreclosures, I'll stay away from that category. If you're looking for liens and bankruptcies, I'll suppress those records as well, right? I'll stay away from you. But that doesn't mean I'm out of leads. No, I can build my own lead. This is what I'm referring to is I don't have to choose a list anymore. I can sit here and think about a situation that would, as David said, motivate an owner to even consider my offer. So here's one I'd like, right? 40 million people have filed for unemployment this year. You know who that really affects? The homeowners, the landlords, because you can't evict them right now. So I want an occupied property, but it's being rented out to that occupied person. So properties being occupied. I want to make sure they're off market. But here's the motivation. It's an individual landlord who's renting out this property to this tenant. This landlord's probably been doing this for 10 years and they live in a different state. So guess what? If your tenant doesn't pick up your phone and you don't get that check on the first of the month, what are you going to do? Fly to that state and go get your check? I highly doubt that, because traveling right now is a high risk with the pandemic going on. And just to make matters worse, because we collect more information, I want to look for the renters that did it with a mortgage or 2 mortgages. The ones that took that risk a few years ago, it said, hey, you know what? I'm going to cash flow a property with a mortgage, because some of us will cash flow without a mortgage, right?
Right.
These are the ones, the wife is yelling at him saying, I told you so. I told you not to get that mortgage and cash flow it, right? Because at one point it was great. Let's get a mortgage for let's rent it out for $2,300 and pocket that $800 passive income.
Right, when they're paying, they're paying, but when they're not,
boom.
got that
But when
mortgage.
they're not,
Right.
guys, this is your hidden leads. This is what I'm referring to, that a lead is not a list. You can't find this 8,400 properties by going to the county and saying, I want this list. There's no this list. This is only capable because we have opened up the filters. Think of it like a buffet of data, right? You go into a buffet, you want to start with the dessert, go for it. No one's going to stop you. This is what you can do with our platform. Go straight into the filters. Don't even choose a list. Go straight into the filters, build your filter, and then wrap it up with the things you need. Off market, and I want to make sure it has 60% in equity. So here are my motivated sellers. They're renting out properties in a different state, off market with equity, and they have 2 mortgages on their property.
You even suppressed all kinds of stuff in that one too.
And the reason why I did that is I usually have this graph I share. Hold on one second here. I hope you guys can understand it. But a lot of people, again, they get fed up. I have this motivation chart, and it kind of, again, you're talking to not a list, you're talking to a person, people. So the person you're dealing with has a certain level of motivation. And the reason why people go for pre-foreclosures and auctions is that's the highest level of motivation. That's the last stop before you lose your home. But you're going to get a lot of competition there. Yeah, you're going to get big discounts and faster closing, but a lot of competition. So David, I'm happy you pointed out the suppression, because you can suppress pre-foreclosures. By me suppressing pre-foreclosures, I'm staying away from the competition, right? And also by me suppressing these other categories, I'm staying away from what we call the the ones that are heading into pre-foreclosure. I'm finding that ninja list, that list that's in the background. Sure, it's going to take several follow-ups, but that's fine, because the concept is if any one of them closes, well, they're going to give me the same ROI as these guys are going to be as well, because they still have the equity I'm looking for, and they're also off market. So I'm happy that you mentioned suppressing, because a lot of people that, you know, people don't go from low motivation to high motivation overnight. That there's something that happens.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. The thing about motivation is it comes very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they do find out, you know, that whenever they do realize that they're ready to sell or they need to sell, they go find somebody to buy it and they're done with that problem. So you got to be there when that motivation changes, because it's not something that just gradually comes. It's like you got to hit them on that day that they're. So follow up is so important.
And that's why I use this chart, because a lot of people, you know, hey, you may be the best closer, and I believe it, but the homeowner may not be ready for you right now.
Right.
So what I'm showing you here and what David mentioned is being able to suppress is big, because if everybody's in pre-foreclosure and you're sitting there like, man, I'm not getting any leads because my competition is stiff. Well, you can now go and suppress that data. So you can go into Propstream like I'm doing here. Instead of looking for pre-foreclosures in Vegas, because everybody's doing that, why don't you look for a lien, but go into the filter, and as I showed you, suppress that. So look for a lien that's not in pre-foreclosure yet, but you can still drive the motivation by saying, you know what? The lien has $10,000 on it.
Right.
So they're not in pre-foreclosure yet, but that $10,000 lien, whoo.
Yeah, that's a lot. This is a great list of leads right there.
Exactly. And that, guys, right there is really, I hope you guys understand what I'm really trying to prove is that technology is here to help. Don't use it to do what we've been doing for decades, right? Go grab a list and just slightly refine it. Use the filters. You should be looking at this filter and say, okay, how can I use the filters to reverse engineer and find a problem, right? How about an individual who's dealing with an HOA and their property is like 70 years old, right? Like that HOA is definitely getting on their case at this point. Here are your properties that are probably going to end up getting an HOA lien if they don't up to date their property or whatever the case may be. And that's, again, just coming up with problems. It's no longer choosing from a list. It's just going in our filters and saying, okay, what would position a person to want to sell? And so my conversation with these guys is, hey, how's that HOA treating you? And I'm going to let them just talk, right? Because they're going to tell me whether their HOA has been telling them to do the roof, do the paint, cut the grass. And I'm going to use all of that during the conversation to leverage that offer I'm going to give them, right? So guys, think of building problems, not just building lists. Add them together and have an endless supply of pipelines or leads coming into your pipeline at that point.
Burton, this has been amazing. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, this is the least I can do.
This has been amazing. I learned all kinds of stuff, and I've been using Propstream for over a year. This is great. I think a couple of my favorite things that you were pointing out was on the app, the D for D on there is actually it's actually really good. I really like that. The history was something that I didn't even know was a thing. I mean, I see it all the time, but I've never really clicked on it, right? And then just the ability to like run comps in the field, I think is so amazing that most people don't take advantage of. And then last but not least, all the stuff you just showed us, man. I like the new zombie properties. That's all new. And then some of the new quick lists. I like that you guys added in number of properties. I mean, holy cow, you just threw a lot at me. I comprehended, I think, most of it, but there's some things that I'm still going to have to go back and rewatch this.
You need me to reiterate, man, I'll be back.
Yeah, we'll have to bring you back for sure. Yeah, that was awesome.
Definitely. So,
well, guys, if you aren't using Propstream already, check it out. Click the link below this video or in the show notes. And these guys give you a 7-day free trial. I highly recommend it, guys. I'm not an agent, but I'm flipping 10 houses a month, so I need it. But it's also very helpful because if I have a student that's in another city and they need help running comps, boom, I have the same MLS access they do. I don't need to get access. So like that alone, I think is worth it. But then for $100 a month, you get 10,000 exports, which means you can go pull any list of leads. And as Burton said, there's no like magic list, right? Like the list that you really want is the one that nobody else has. So use these features like the quick lists or the ways to, to suppress certain things from a list, or the overlaying of the properties that, again, we would presume would have motivation, and drive for dollars and find the ones that look rough on top of it. So if they have inside problems and outside problems, those are going to be the best ones. Man, Burton, you're going to have to come back and redo this soon because I'm sure I'm going to need a refresher. But regardless, that was awesome. Thank you for your time. Thanks for educating everybody today. And yeah, man, appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. You guys have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Signing off.